30% of the transactions taking place, it's that agent's first time doing a deal. When I play poker, I'm not a really good poker player, but I know that if I play the hand wrong, I screw up the whole table, right? Or blackjack, rather. If you're playing blackjack at a casino. If I play wrong, someone yells at me. Like if I hit on a 17 or something, like, no, stupid, you're supposed to stay. I don't know if that's even true what I'm saying. Sure. But my point is, if you have people who are not acclimatized to the game, it's going to cause a lot of volatile pricing. Yeah. Just like we saw with the stock market with this Robinhood phenomenon, where, you know, these meme stocks are just going crazy up and crazy down because you have an amateur at the wheel.
Are you telling me GameStop's not a good investment?
Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
So if I touch the table even, it's going to be...
Oh, you're okay. You should be all right.
Just don't like do that, basically. We're good?
No licking the microphone.
All right, ready? Welcome back to the Tom Storey Show. We are here in Whistler, BC, beautiful British Columbia. I learned that from looking at license plates as we were driving around. I'm here with Steve again in person, and we are very, very excited to have another guest that we've convinced to join us in person, Ralph Ciancio. What's going on?
Wonderful. So excited to be here. I'm a huge fan. Big time, long time listener, first time guest. Is that a thing?
Very creepily in your brother's hotel room. He's back there somewhere.
He's hiding.
We'll see him
now
at
he's
some point.
stuck in the bathroom.
We're gonna get him in the back shop.
It's a drinking game where every time you see Frank, you take a sip during the podcast.
It's like that cognitive behavior thing where the monkey walks in the background. You have to. He's playing basketball. No, I don't know.
No, that's good. Well, I appreciate you being here. This is a lot of fun. So I guess just to tell the viewers, like, why are we in Whistler? Why are we sitting here today in a hotel room talking to each other?
It's because I'm a lucky guy, and you guys are badass realtors running some awesome podcasts and putting out some great content. But the reason that we're all here gathered in Whistler is for the Richard Robbins Conference. So top realtors from across North America are gathered here to share ideas, to inspire each other, and to really just be friends, because we can spend so much time every single day with, you know, literally you can spend time with 100 people in a day and you still come home feeling lonely sometimes. So it's nice to have the camaraderie, that togetherness and tribe, really.
We had talked in another one of the podcasts where it's like what separates the people at the top of the industry from people that are just getting by. And one of the main things was coaching and mentor, right?
For sure.
So I was introduced to Rich probably like 6 or 7 years ago. I think Steve like 15 years ago. When were you first introduced to this program, and then what got you excited about it?
Yeah, I've been in coaching now for, I think it's 8 years. Okay. I don't know the exact time, but more or less 8 years. And, I'd gone out to one of his free seminars for a quarter of a day, and, got to know who he was. And then I bought, a program through my brokerage at the time where it was every week getting together, watching a DVD. I still have the DVDs if anybody wants a copy.
Can I get the DVD player as well?
I was going to say, asterisk, you also need to buy a DVD player. Yeah. Good luck finding one of those. You have to go to a garage sale now, I think. Going through the program, I saw that Rich's values, not only as a business professional, but as a human being, seemed quite congruent to who I was and who I wanted to become, where I wanted to grow into. So
that's awesome. So, one thing that we talk about a lot in this podcast is just the market, what's going on. And I think like the real estate market, everybody has an opinion. Like literally every single person, their brother's neighbor's dog has an opinion about the real estate market, right? And it's always funny to like hear as someone that does it every single day, and not just like does it every single day and looks at numbers, but like ground level talking with clients. What are you feeling right now? Because I think it's fair to say like it's not what it was. Prices are coming down, interest rates are going up. How long do you think this lasts? And like, what are you seeing in your business right now? And actually, can you tell us where you sell so that the viewer gets an idea? Yeah.
So my primary market is the Northeast GTA. So, York region, the Markham, Stouffville, Richmond Hill area. We dabble a little bit in Scarborough, Pickering, in and around there. But I'd say 80% of our business comes from Markham, Stouffville.
Gotcha.
And 20% is just kind of the surrounding peripheral. And, what we've seen in the last few weeks, I would say actually few months, was this massive shift between the buyers having no control and the sellers being in total control. And then the pendulum just kind of swung over, and buyers are now in control. And it's just like giving kids, the keys to the house. My children would run a very different ship if I gave them the power, because, I've been in control for so long. And then now it seems as if, they're really enjoying that shift. They're taking a little longer to buy homes. I think part of the challenge, what we've seen in the market is, the direct impact from any of the changes. And there was a lot of changes that took place, increase in foreign buyers tax in Ontario, right? 20% foreign buyers tax in the entire province. And we shouldn't underestimate the impact of that decision.
Do you think that has really anything?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do.
Why is that?
So the way I see it is real estate's a game of musical chairs. So imagine that there's 10 people in a room and 10 chairs. The game of musical chairs is not that intense.
Right.
Music stops, there's 10 chairs, 10 people, you're good. If there's 10 people and 20 chairs, obviously there's a lot of supply, not much demand. Now imagine if we were playing 10 people and 10 chairs and 3 people showed up with their own chairs. Now you have 13 people, 13 chairs, same level of intensity.
Right.
Imagine that 2 more people show up without chairs. That changes things. So when we talk about, supply and demand, a typical family who's buying a home and selling a home. In that process, when they're selling their home, they are supplying one inventory to the market. And then when they go to buy a home, they consume one inventory from the market. So that's a net zero. Right. So +1 and -1, they've got no impact on the overall supply demand curve. When you have people who do not have houses to sell, i.e. foreign buyers, i.e. first-time buyers, i.e. divorced or separating families, i.e. investors who are buying properties, they are net consumers. They are not selling any. They're just buying. They're taking 2 chairs away from the game. Do you know what I mean? So a foreign buyer that didn't purchase because of this increase in the foreign buyers tax, well, if they would have bought your home and you bought Tom's home, and Tom then now sold his home, so he bought my home. Well, all these transactions took place. And you say, well, yeah, it's only 4%. Yeah, but 4% has a domino effect, right? It's like a riptide.
And now from the federal budget, they actually made it clear that they were going to be banning foreign buyers, which a lot of people said, well, it's only 5% of the market. They still haven't officially done it, but it seems like it's coming. And that was one of the only things that both liberal and conservative 100% agreed on. Because it's easy to ban someone that can't vote.
That's exactly it. And it's easy to demonize, these people. But the reality is, vast majority of people that are in North America today came here recently. So it's,
I think a way bigger problem is, let me ask you this first. Do you have a lot of experience with foreign buyers either buying your listings or your buyers being foreign buyers?
A small percentage. It's not a massive.
Zero.
For sure.
I have 0.
For sure, but you say 0, and you say that in a direct way. Did they meet at your office and sign papers?
This episode of the Tom Storey Show is brought to you by the Real Estate Video Course. Today's real estate industry has changed, and you can no longer rely primarily on door knocking, cold calling, and geo-farming. While these strategies still work, video provides something that these traditional methods just don't, and that is leads that reach out to you because of you and the message and content that you are providing. I believe that video is king, and that through video, you can leverage your message, create stronger relationships, and become the authority on real estate in your marketplace. The Real Estate Video Course is a 5-part course that will teach you the fundamentals of video, including why it's so impactful, the equipment that you need to invest in to get started, and the proven tips and strategies used to ensure long-term success. So go to videocourselogin.com today to become a true creator, level up your editing and production skills, and develop your real estate video plan to leverage your message to current and prospective clients. That's videocourselogin.com. The link is below in the description, and don't forget to use the discount code TOMSHOW at checkout for 10% off any purchase. That's videocourselogin.com and use the checkout code TOMSHOW. That's TOMSHOW.
Yeah. Maybe not, but did your listing sell to someone who either is a foreign buyer, or did your listing sell to someone who's local who sold their home to a foreign buyer? Right. So it's really hard to see. They're masked. They're like 5 transactions away.
I think the bigger side of the whole thing was likely people like Tom and myself. We talked about this on a couple episodes back, where it's like, we're the problem. because I bought an investment property because I couldn't not, right? With 100% financing, it's cash flowing positive. How can you not? So, and I know he bought a cottage, right? So now this is where what you're saying relates, because it's like, okay, yeah, we are taking up inventory and we're not putting any back to the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So now the opposite of that is a builder who buys a farm. So they consume one, but then they cut it up into 400 pieces. They are net suppliers of 400. So for every builder that develops a property, a farm, they net supply 400. Now supply goes up and then price is a little bit more balanced. But, you know, I do have a degree in economics with a major in real estate. Tom and I are, what's it called? Alma Mater? What is it called when you go to the same school?
Alma Maters?
Alma Mater. Alma Maters, I think.
I don't know, I didn't go to school.
That's what we'll say.
Yeah. So, but what we've seen now with the increase in interest rates is that it's basically a shock to demand.
Yep.
That's all it is. Now, the math of it all is that we've seen this, you know, collapse in pricing. You can use the word collapse. But if you work out any arithmetic that I've seen, I've never seen the amount of purchase price coming down equivalent to the actual financial cost of an increased interest rate. It's actually like 2x. So there's a speculation in there. So the cost of borrowing didn't cause real estate to go up 23%, but if prices came down 23%, there's some element of a buyer being a little bit more speculative, where they're pulling back. If that makes any sense. The actual cost may have been 12%, right?
That's
and then maybe had 10% speculation. So that's where I think we're going to see a balancing out. You know, to frame your question was, where are we now in the market and where do we see the future? I think we're going to see a flattening out. My honest opinion is that the government right now is using words as a tool to straighten out the market. And again, going back to my kids, if I want to create a behavior, I may exacerbate this massive like pain or punishment. Like, if you do this again, I'm taking your iPad. You're gonna be locked in your room for 2 months, and you're not going to prom. Like, you know, just reading Cheetos on the couch, right? So, but the government's saying so much about this, where the market is going, and this, you know, we're going to be aggressively increasing interest rates. I think that they're doing that to spook the market. Yeah, I anticipate. And you can remember in this podcast, you can save it. I think the interest rates.
People will come back in the comments later.
I believe interest rates. Is there a way I can block comments? Is that a thing? We don't like that. But I'll say that I do believe that interest rates are actually going to make a backwards effect. It's going to come down in this year. If not
really this year,
if not in the last
statement,
if not in the last quarter, in the beginning of the next quarter. I believe that we're currently in a recession. It's just not reported yet.
100%.
And I think that they're using this as they're going so aggressive in these interest rate hikes so that they have bullets that they can fire later on. They can come back 0.25% or offer some stimulus.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's crazy. We're like Bank of Canada, as we went into the pandemic, made it very clear interest rates are staying low basically till 2024. Yeah. Okay, well, now we've realized that's not the case. And they've also made it clear now we will purposely put us into a recession, whatever that exactly means to anybody, by raising them. Yeah. But they're going to raise them and then bring them down. And I look at like big picture, right? So the government, the amount of money that they earn from real estate, like even small picture, land transfer tax. So they make money when you buy. Yes. They make money when you sell investment properties on capital gains. You pay taxes to own the property. Yes. All the trades and services you bring in because of home ownership and the taxes on that, like they don't want to crash the market, right? Like we joke about Bank of Canada, like what are they actually doing? Do they know what they're doing? I hope they really do know what they're doing, because otherwise I'm a little bit concerned. But yeah, in terms of where the market's going, like I think long term we're perfectly fine. Yeah, and I hope people don't think as realtors we say that. Like I have so many people that want to buy houses right now.
Yeah. Do you think there's a way that the government could, more than maybe just the stress test, like detach interest rates for buying a home?
Yes, that's
to
exactly
all the other business.
Yes,
right. Because those two things are tied together. It seems like they should be disconnected in some way to keep lending on homes more realistic and not at 1%. Yeah. Right. But maybe the business owner does need 1%. Yeah. Right. There's something there that I think could be done that would make this whole thing a lot more palatable, because let's face it, under 3.5%, really probably under 4.5% should not be lent on residential homes.
Agree. But you know what the thing is, I think part of the rude awakening that the economy is going through right now is, you know, if you go into a hot tub, it's a little bit difficult. It's painful at first. And then you go into a swimming pool, you get used to the swimming pool. It takes some time. But then when you go back into the hot tub, it's not as hot. It's just acclimatizing. That's all it is. We were in the swimming pool for a long time. It was actually really warm water. But then we are now going back into the hot tub.
I
right?
can tell you coach with Richard Robbins because he used a very similar, he was talking about the highway one.
You're driving.
Yeah.
Highway,
Yeah.
right?
120 kilometers and they go to drop the kids.
So what has your market done? Let's talk about from peak till now. So peak was what, February, March?
Yeah.
So you are probably closer being northern Toronto.
Yeah.
Or I guess the suburbs
Yeah,
technically.
northern Toronto.
So you're closer to me than like Tom's downtown.
Yeah.
Yep.
What have you done from the peak until now? What is your feeling? Not necessarily what the stats say, because I think the stats are not exactly always what's true.
Agreed.
What is your feeling like if I have a single family home in your market, percentage off since the peak?
Yeah, I would say in estimation, because obviously there's so many different things, you know, small detached, big detached. But I'd say that we're probably at around 20% or 23%
Really?
Reduction
That's more
in
than
price.
us, I think, even.
Yeah. And now here's the thing with the stats. With numbers, you can portray whatever you want to portray. Now, there's a, you know, so it's always, and I've been saying for years. You know,
Hey, you're giving away the secrets to our YouTube channel.
Well, I've been saying for a long time is that, you know, I don't provide information. I believe any realtor, because I know there's some realtors watching this right now, but any realtor who's providing information as a value proposition is dead. You know, I've got these little machines around my entire home, Googles, that I can just yell out any question in the world and I get the answer for free instantly in any room in my house.
Yep.
So if you're giving info, there's no value proposition. You know, it's the context to the data. That's where the money is. So the context to these sales data is that the people that are selling right now, where we're seeing these, you know, suppressed prices, are people that were caught in a transitioning market. Doesn't mean that the value of the product is bad. It's that, or down. It means that these people were in a position where they needed to sell because the market made a drastic turn, right? These are people who are good, honest, hardworking people, bought a home. And of course, most realtors were advising you should buy first because your house will sell in a piece of cake. And then they bought with a closing date 2 months, 3 months ahead. And then now they are in a scenario where the market has shifted and they're, you know, making drastic changes.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're seeing it all over. It's really heartbreaking because, you know, the Bank of Canada makes these changes and they're doing it for the kind of the good of all, I guess you would argue.
Yep.
Well, we hope that that's the reason they're doing it. But it's like real collateral damage. There's real families that are you know, crying at the dining room table with me. And, you know, my heart's there with them because they didn't do this. They were not malicious gamblers who tried to game the system. It was just like a guy who wanted to buy a house in a good school district and was going to move in June. There was nothing wrong with what he was doing.
What do you think the whole situation is, though, when, because you've got the buy first, sell first thing. And most people, I find, will easily take financial ruin as the possibility of maybe not knowing where they're going to go for 2 months, right? And because they can't picture themselves in financial ruin, right? So they do that. I'm not moving unless I find the perfect place, or I'm not moving unless I know where I'm going to go. And I'm like, over the overall scheme of things, if you have to shack up with your family in an Airbnb for a month, that's a lot less risk. So what do you do now when those people do you still have that, or is that mostly now gone because those people
they've either taken
already
the low price
done they've already taken the low price, they've already moved on? Is it still happening, you think?
We're seeing I feel as if we're transitioning away from that kind of big drop, and I believe that we're heading towards more flat. I feel like the sellers who are hitting the market now, they understand the rules of the game right now.
Yep.
Like what the government has done in these changes, which were very intentionally aggressive and drastic, is they changed the rules instantly for the economy.
Yeah.
And it takes time to get used to those rules. My son plays soccer. You know, when we play in the backyard, there's no referee. Like if you kick me, like, hey, like be quicker next time, right? But then when you get on the field, there's one type of referee. And then you go to another game, there's another type of referee. It's really difficult to get used to a change in rules.
Yeah.
And, you know, the players will get fouls or get into trouble, not because they're doing something very bad, but because, you know, the circumstances and the rules on the field have changed. And that's what's happened in the real estate market. Yeah. The circumstances have changed. People are now more aware that, okay, I may not get the number that my neighbor got, but I'm also going to save money on the purchase. I'm going to be buying for not what their neighbor got. right?
Well, we've had so many move up buyers that are looking at right now. It's a great opportunity because their condo that was worth 800,000 is worth 750 now, but the house they want to buy at that was 1.3 is 1.1.
Yeah.
So net, they're ahead. Now interest rates are higher and all those type of things, but this is the house they're going to live in the next 10 years. And so one of the things, we were all on that call with Benjamin Tal, and he said a lot of great stuff. But the one thing that really stuck out to me was high interest rates are not the issue. Rapidly increasing interest rates are the issue. And I feel like they are rapidly increasing. Like they really, really are. And what you were saying before about sellers, every seller I've met with in the last month understands what's going on. They're very clear. They look at the numbers. They're not delusional to it. Where there was a bit of that leftover, and I had that one example where I had a listing. We got 4 offers on it. She didn't want to take any of them. Totally fine. Understand. We parted ways after a while because, like, you know, this doesn't exist anymore, and ended up selling 2 months later for $225,000 less than the top offer we had gotten. And I feel terrible for her because I knew she bought in the peak of the market. And like, so that was happening, and there were opportunities. Like, did you have any buyers that got those opportunities on the other side as well?
Yeah, there were some opportunities where, you know, buyers say, wow, this is the best thing ever.
Right.
But I think in the end, I think the challenge for realtors is that I think we think in a lens of the finance side a lot more than
someone just wants to move.
Yeah, like, you know, I talked to some clients and I said, like, are you happy? You know what? I love where I live.
Yep.
I love it here. I love my neighbors. I love the school. I love my commute. And in the end, when we talk about prices going up and down, I mean, Tom, you said it lots of times. We don't buy a price, we buy a payment.
Yep.
Right? So, as you know, for them, there's some you know, climatization to the payment, but you know, we are in the transaction component day in and day out. It's like transaction. But after we leave that first transaction, that family just lives, right?
They don't think about real estate all day like we do.
They're like, happy news story though, Ralph.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wait, people are happy with their houses?
Family. Yeah, happy family, just getting along fine. Today, you know, Timmy went to soccer practice and they made their mortgage payments. But
if there's something in your drinking water that the government doesn't want you to know, find out at 11.
Well, I do a lot of the media, right? And I actually had 2 calls yesterday from different news stations. I couldn't do it because I was out here. But the week before, I had several reach out to me who I've done a lot of work for. And they said, hey, we don't need you to come on today, but we'd like if one of your buyers could come on that's regretting the purchase they made. I'm like, you want me to
create a news story?
You want me to bring a buyer that, well, first of all, I don't think we had anyone, at least openly, that's told me.
Yeah.
But you want me to bring them on the news so they can talk about a decision they made that they don't agree with because that's your. I was like, oh my God, like no, I'm not going to help with that one.
Yeah.
So it is crazy how they go that one direction. They play a different game with clicks, and you know that's how they make their money. And it is what it is. But the headlines are like terrifying right now, like actually terrifying.
Yeah, they are. And again, going back to the context of the data, you know, people say, oh, prices have come down. Look at the average price. I said, yeah, but what was that product? Now, if we took a look at the number of vacant homes that were sold in this last 3 months, the number is going to be quite high, I believe. So who are these people?
With my listings, personally, yeah.
So are 100%. They investors that had bought for 400, rented it for 10 years, and see that prices are coming down, and now they're getting out? So they're, you know, poorly maintained properties that require a lot of work. There's nobody living there, and have a very motivated seller, the investor. Like, are these the people that are selling for $300,000 less, or is it a regular family?
The amount of actually old folks going into old folks' homes, because that's apparently safe to go back and do again now, right? That is an amazing amount of our listings currently.
Really?
So that, I think that may have actually led to some of the short supply, because every single day you had old folks moving into old folks' homes. Yeah. And for 2 years we didn't have that. So then you had all that inventory not come to market.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a really, really good point, actually.
I mean, I guess that could go into the original thing which we were talking about, which is supply. Like, if the supply's not coming, but now you have all the dicks like me and Tom buying up all the second properties, right? Yeah. Now it just exacerbated. Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, the whole problem, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you know, I think that we're going to see a leveling off of it. We've seen this before, you know, most recently, 2017. Like, I've been selling real estate now 15 years. So for the vast majority of them, like 12 of those years were all like very upward trending.
What happened to you guys in 2017? Because we didn't see that.
So it happened to you in 2016, right?
Yeah, we
followed. Or did you get it after?
No, they had it first. You had foreign buyers tax kick in 2015, 16, right?
So the first 4 months of 2017 in the GTA, the market went up 26% in price, an average price from January till April. And everyone was like, it was like something's going to happen, right? At the time, the Liberals were in power in Ontario. As Kathleen Wynne, she came up, did her news conference. It was called the Fair Housing Plan, or the Fair Housing Act.
17-point action plan. Detailed.
The only 2 points I remember.
16.5 points are tax.
Yeah. The only 2 points I really remember were rent control, which has now changed. It's not the same as it was. It was before that. It was if it was built before 1991, you were in rent control. After that, you're good. Then it changed to just everything's in rent control. Now Ford came in, he switched it, and the new date is November 15th, 2018. Yeah. Right? But then other than that, it was foreign buyer tax. And I remember I did the news the following day after that because it was 15%. Then we switched to 20 last year at some point. I was like, it's psychological. Most of it's up here.
Yeah. Okay, so it was foreign buyer tax?
That basically was the announcement that I think scared people.
Yeah, that was like the knockout punch in the 17-point plan. But here's... And we talked about kind of influence of the media. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I try to pay attention to as many things as I can.
You're going to do well with our viewers.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Pay attention to the number. Pay attention to the number 17.
Okay.
17 is a number I believe smart people use to confuse just the masses. It's not an easy number to remember. It's not divisible. It's not multiple. Like it's a tricky number. Yeah. My visa comes out on the 17th day after my bill is due the 17th day after my bill is issued. My bill is issued on the 5th. So I got to remember every month, like, is it the 5th of the month plus 17 days? And then you miss your visa payment, right? Just because I said, can't you just make my visa due on the 1st of the month? Yeah. No, I'm sorry, sir. It just doesn't work that way. I said, well, I pay my visa on time, but I'm sure that they collect a lot of interest otherwise. So the rhetoric of a 17-point plan to fix one problem, that's like
sounds scary.
A guy building a house that the wires don't work. So they send the electrician to the basement and takes out 17 wires at once and then reinstalls 17 wires. And he says, did I fix it? And you have no idea which wire was the one that you fixed. It? Right?
So we had that in 2016. They brought in foreign buyers tax, but they brought it in like tomorrow.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, all those contracts you wrote 6 months ago, by the way, it applies, and it applies on Monday next week, right? So that caused our detached market to come down. Didn't take long. The next for us was we were heavily in a downturn after stress test. Stress test was brought in
July 1st, 2018.
Yeah. So then we saw a downturn for a year and a half. Like we saw a significant
How far did they
downturn.
drop average price?
Detached home, likely more than 10%, right? As a result of that. And then everything kind of went crazy again. So it's weird that our markets acted at different times. Probably the same scare tactic, like you're saying, from the government, but that's what it's been. But it's funny, my manager in our office meetings puts those dates on the graph. So he like, here's where this happened. And every time the government intervenes, it's 6 months of taking a dump and then right back off again.
For sure. Right. Well, the way I see it is, and I think the positive message, overarching positive message here is that the demand for Canadian real estate is so high that prices are going up. If we were in a market, a city, a country where prices were static, they just didn't move, that's a very big problem. Like I've got some friends in the States, they bought a place for $350,000. They lived there for, 10 years and they sold it for $370,000. Like that's a big problem too, right? So I think the elephant in the room is that the demand for Canadian real estate is high.
Yep.
We have supply in a macro sense. There's a lot of land here where people can live. There's a lot in Canada, but it's the development component that's slowing it down. I think if they opened up development and they allowed developers to build easier. I've been trying to get a building permit for 7 months. It's not even at the midway point yet. Not even. It's just ridiculous.
I don't think it's a bad thing either. This is very unpopular, but I don't think it's a bad thing to make Toronto and Vancouver super expensive so the rest of the country does well. Like, why is that a terrible thing, right? In the States, they do it so well. If your opportunity ends in Seattle, you move to Nashville and you get on with your life. But we think in Canada that we have the right to live within 15 kilometers of the hospital that I was born in, because I do. Yeah. I do, right? And it's like that's not necessarily the way it should work all the time.
Yeah, I think there is a level of entitlement that sometimes creeps up where people say, well, how can my kids ever afford to buy a detached home in Toronto? I said, who said that your kids should buy a detached home insurance? If they can, that's great. But this means that everyone in Canada has the right or should be granted some easy pass. I go, this is a huge accolade. To own real estate's a huge accolade. But for any of the listeners out there, I'll say that that's, in my opinion, having a driver's license and owning real estate are two of the most important things that you need to succeed in Canada.
But our whole society's gone that way because it used to be college was for the top 10%
that's true.
of smart kids, and now everybody has to go to college or you're not even making the minimum, right? So I don't know. I think that's people have a level of expectation that they have to do this certain thing, right?
For sure.
So we just talked about the fact that real estate prices in Toronto and in most urban areas of Canada have done very, very well over the last decade. So one of the things that I remember at the first conference I came to, I'm blanking on who said it, but they said, I've been to a lot of real estate agents' funerals, but never a retirement party. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I got to start investing in my future. So I own a bit of real estate. That to me, that's my pension, right? Like that, I want to get to a point where that serves my lifestyle, where the other side of my business is just, I'm running it because I'm thrilled about it. I like working with people. I'm not too worried about, for you went through, so to get to where you are now, you started in the home building side of things. Yep. Did you invest along the way also?
Yeah, I've been investing in real estate along the entire time, but there's ebbs and flows as your family life is the kind of the balance, right? Yep. With 3 kids, the challenge for any realtors out there that are watching is, the challenge in investing in real estate, if you're investing heavily. So in my house, the income is generated through the real estate market, right? Through people who buy and sell real estate. The number of transactions, affects my own income, right? But if I own investments in real estate and I service that debt, I pay the bills for all those mortgages by earning income through real estate, you're not that diversified. Because if real estate collapses for some reason, then I won't have any income and I won't be able to support the investment properties. And my investments, the actual value of the investments would have collapsed. Yeah. So I've been trying to diversify a little bit. The vast majority of any investments is through real estate because I do believe in the long-term aspects of real estate.
The rest is crypto.
Just rocking, by the way. So if you guys download this free app,
good time to buy.
Oh, you know what? Can I just make something very clear? I have a fake Instagram account that's pretending to be me right now, and it's actually causing me huge issues. So if this episode comes out and someone follows you at the story team with 2 E's and tries to sell you crypto, it is not me. I'm getting 15 texts about it a day, and they've mimicked the account so perfectly.
I thought it was his new business model. He was trying to sell crypto to everybody.
It's insane. Like it is. I had so many people message me about it, and I'm like worried someone's going to fall for it.
Yeah.
So there's my public service.
You know what the problem is? I think that overall you're very trustable person, right? Everyone I know, loves you guys and they trust what you're saying. So when they say, oh, wow, I got a DM from, Tom, or I got a DM from Steve, it's like, maybe I should. And that's the equivalent of the duct cleaners or the CRA, calling, or the package from FedEx is there. This is the new version of a scam.
It's funny. Someone says to me, they're like, because they reach out and they go, hey, with a little hand emoji. And then they go, hey, how's it going? They ask, how's the market? Like they know who they're talking to. It's not just or maybe it's a bot, but I don't know. And then they say, oh, this is the market. How about you? And the response has always been, oh, the market's still hot for me. So a few people are like, even before you got to fake crypto, I knew you were lying because the market's not hot anymore.
That's it.
So what else are you looking at diversifying into?
I've been playing in the stock market a bit. Some investments there.
It's not going well these days.
Yeah, that's not going so well. It's funny because, everyone I know that just says, well, I just started investing in the stock market. I always think of this story that my professor taught me or said once about Dale Carnegie. And back in the 1920s, early 1920s, he was getting his shoes shined in the subway. And the guy cleaning his shoes says, hey, you know what, Mr. Carnegie, I got a really great stock tip for you. And, he had listened to the guy, went home and sold everything. And then the market just collapsed. And then that's where he made his money, is buying in the dip. And it's when
it gets to the person shining your shoes telling you about the stock market, that's when you have to be worried about the stock market.
On a news report, they said, when everyone's doing it, it's time to go on. We saw the same thing with crypto. We saw the same thing with, stocks like Neo. We see the same, it's something that's just
NFT pictures of monkeys aren't a $5 million
apparently it's going to be really big. It's going to be really, really big. And I said, can't I just screen grab that? Don't I now own that? So I don't.
Do we have to explain this to you?
So, I've never invested in something I don't understand.
Yeah. That's
And I
probably
think-
smart.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about real estate is that something that's easy to understand. One thing that, when I said I believe that the market is going to be more buoyant in the second half,
Yep.
is we are seeing record levels of people come into Canada. A client of ours.
I think the maid's knocking.
That's all right, Hero.
Go for it, Tommy.
So I was saying the increase in the number of new Canadians coming through over the next 3 months is supposed to be another.
The realities of the Tom Storey Show, brought to you by the Weston Whistler.
And they're wonderful staff.
Hey, this is proof that their staff is doing the job.
Yeah, but also I'll tell you this is proof that your show is authentic.
Yeah.
Right. I've been watching this show. I see it, and I can see it in you. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, those guys are really good at looking authentic. But it's
I've
because
tried
you're
not-
authentic.
We're just talking.
I've never seen a
We
podcast.
came with 0 notes.
Yeah, I've never seen a show where the cleaning lady's involved. That's
Well, I've got up 4 times to try and get this glare off the side of my face, and it's not working too well. So.
Well, we got to do as much as we can for you to.
We got to do a lot.
Yeah.
We got to do a ton.
So I was saying, I think the increase in immigration is going to cause.
no.
I think increase in immigration is going to cause. Put in. Give me.
Go on.
It's
Keep
going to
going.
cause a spike in demand. Someone told me recently that in the next 3 months, 500,000 people will be coming to Canada.
Crazy.
And one thing that I've studied about people is most of them like to sleep inside.
Yeah.
So whether you're going to be sleeping in a home you own or sleeping in a home you rent or staying with family, they need to stay somewhere. So unless development, really takes off,
Which I don't think
we're
it
going
will.
to see an increase in pricing. Yeah, it's going to, interest rates will dampen, people's stretchability, because that's really what it's about. It's the stretchability.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that with interest rates at 1%, you created an economic incentive for people to overextend.
Yeah.
It was my clients had the money to put down, but they didn't. Like, why would I do that when I could do something else at 1% cost? I can make 6% or 5% or 12%. So that's where we saw this shift of, push in the stock market because money was cheap. People were not paying down debt. And then now as interest rates are going up, people are no longer investing in the stock market, which I believe is part of why the stock market's come down. It's because the increase in interest rates made a disincentive for people to even borrow money. A lot of people were borrowing money to invest in the stock market.
Yep.
Craziness.
So that's that. We see these kind of this whoop whoop in the market between real estate and stocks, and
So what about the business side? How has your business changed over the last little bit?
so far it's been great. It's been more stressful, not because it's partly it is more challenging now. We're facing different challenges, but it's just the context of the conversations are somewhat stressful, right? And I think you need to really have difficult conversations where you're talking to prospective sellers, saying, this is what it looks like outside. Before we go outside, let's make it crystal clear that this is what it looks like. Let's not sugarcoat it. Because the reality is, if I believe as a real estate community, if realtors were a little bit more transparent as to the levels of difficulty out there, then there'll be less sellers coming onto the market to just test the market or just try it out.
Yep.
Less supply is going to push prices back to normal.
I always find it funny when you ask a real estate agent how the market's doing, and it's like they just, without thinking, oh, it's great. Oh, the market's great. Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're a first-time home buyer now looking to grab something 50 grand less than it would have been 3 months ago, it could be an opportunity for you. But if you're a seller looking to cash out, well, you missed the boat. You did, right?
But for now, there's another ferry coming.
Oh, yeah,
around.
it's coming.
That's the key.
Yep.
Is that real estate on the long term is heading upwards. So if you miss this boat, don't worry, there's another one coming.
Yep. So the way that I was first introduced to you was at a conference. You were on stage. I think you showed a hilarious video about open houses, and your team had run these like mega open houses, kind of where it's like you go and it's an actual experience. And one of the debates that me and Steve have had before is, it's not that I don't believe in open houses. I believe in them for the real estate industry. I think they are amazing lead generation tools. I think the last 2 years of COVID proved that they're not necessary. And some agents will host open houses just to show their seller that they're doing something, when really a price reduction would actually make more of an impact. Now, everyone has their own opinions, but you run open houses where you're actually at your open house. It's not just the new agent on your team saying that knows nothing about the house. So can you run me through like the open houses that you used to run before the pandemic? Are you doing them again now? And what would that experience look like for one of your sellers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've been ramping them up. We're probably at 50% of what we used to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm still I know that we're almost in this kind of new world, or return to normal, if you'd call it that. But I'm still very sensitive that people are still getting sick out there. And, where in the past I'd have coffee and food and, a little bit more physical interaction. I want to be mindful for my homeowners, my clients as well. Like, I don't want to bring in challenge or sickness into your home. But in terms of, the reason why we love hosting open houses is because in real estate, as a professional realtor, I'm essentially a marketer.
Yep.
And, and a lot of times we're marketing in a B2B environment. I am trying to sell the home in a way in which a buyer's agent will come in and bring the buyer. That's B2B, business to business.
Yep.
And anything I say to an agent is going to go through their filter, and then some of it may be communicated to their client. At an open house, I'm in B2C, business to consumer. It's direct to consumer marketing. When I'm talking with the family coming through the home, I can ask questions. I can understand what they're trying to achieve. What's their fear, like the pain button, like what are they getting away from? And how does this house solve that problem? And then from there, I'm actually giving the message as direct as possible to the person that actually is making the decision. So I found that helps a ton. Now, some people would say, well, if you host an open house, what if they have an agent? That's perfectly fine with me. I want you to have an agent. Yeah. I think it's great that you have someone representing your interests, but at least I got to tell you what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is when I'm at the open house and I'm talking to for example, a family there, I'm also understanding who they are. And I think that there's this kind of lens that we think that negotiations are also, aggressive and confrontational. But the reality is, a lot of times when I'm selling a home and I'm talking to the family, the sellers, if I can communicate a little bit about the family that wants to buy, it personifies the offer and makes them feel good about it. Because the truth is, 85% of the clients that we've ever served are very house proud, and they want to make sure that the house goes to a nice person.
Is offer presentation basically dead now?
No, we still see them around.
Yeah.
The success rate is less. It's probably a 40% success rate.
The art of it's gone though.
Yeah.
The art of the most of it is just being done email here, whatever.
Oh, you mean like show up in person and present your offer and the family's in the car?
Until COVID, we literally presented every offer in person. That's the way we did it because we got the offer, right? Every single time, right? Chani and my team, her thing is she would present the offer and she goes, okay, I know you guys have decisions to make. There might be 2 or 3 offers or whatever. Maybe we're the only one. She's like, my clients are here to make this their new home. I'll be in the car with my dinner and my sleeping bag. Let me know when you want to.
Can I ask you a question? So let's say there was 10 offers on that property. Yeah. The way that the story is going, I'm thinking, oh, well, all the agents that had the offers showed up to present them in person. That's not the case, right? Like of those 10 offers, how many people would actually show up to present it in person other than
Max
Chani?
3.
Okay. So 30%. Okay.
Max 3. And then she's the one saying, if there's anything, we don't even have to go so far as phone the agent and then they have to make another phone call to their client. I'm out in the car right now, right? And I think that's something that is getting lost in our business right now, right? That the skill of doing that is being lost. Hopefully we can bring it back in. Yeah. But in BC, we're now not allowed to ask those questions at open houses, right? We can't, when someone comes in, I'm not allowed to ask them,
how can I help you?
Basically, I'm not allowed to say, this home is 3 bedrooms. Does that work for you? I have to say, this home is 3 bedrooms.
So, but can't you say, isn't it great that this home has 3 bedrooms?
I can't ask a question.
Oh, that's like the question game.
Yeah. I can't ask a question, right? So, and I mean, why have they brought this in? Well, they want the buyers to have their own agents and that the listing agent can't basically grill them, right? Which I guess makes sense, but the listing agent is there to represent their clients. And our job as a listing agent is to find out if that buyer is the right buyer for the home, right? We can't just pretend that every buyer is the right buyer for the home, right? So it's really put us in a weird spot where the government has come out and said, we don't want you as sales agents anymore. We want you as guides through the process. And then that's where it's like Tom's argument starts to come in. Well, what's the point of doing an open house now? Yeah. If I can't actually find out if this person is qualified, then I don't want looky-loos in the home, and I only want qualified people with their agents.
The feedback I've gotten from agents from BC is, oh no, open houses are great still for us because that's just whenever all the agents come with their... It's like, this is just the time we do showings. It's become the showing time.
It was that way.
Okay, that's not it anymore. That's when the market was hotter.
It's not anymore. Now it's Everyone has an agent because they understand they have to and they can't go to the agent in the home, but the agent usually doesn't show up. So it's usually someone with an agent. And then we try and get the agent's contact information to try and get feedback and follow up, but they don't even know their agent's name. So, you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's definitely tough.
Yeah.
But when you're running yours, you were running like over the top.
Yeah.
Right?
You used to have music going, like a certain type of music that made them feel like it could be their house.
Comfortable, yeah. Michael Bublé, Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so, you know, I try to find inspiration from lots of different places. You know, I believe in what we call experiential marketing. What does the client experience, right? It's not about my face being on every bus shelter.
Sure.
I don't want to invest in that. I want to invest on the experience for the guest.
Our industry is so bad at internalizing what the consumer is seeing and feeling, right? Because we think, oh, put our face on everything, that'll get them, right? We're awesome. Look, my face is on every bus bench, Mom. I'm doing great, right? But how do we internalize what they're receiving, right? And I think that's where I would assume your open houses may or may not have actually sold the home, but I'm assuming you got a ton of other sellers that are like, that guy did a great job.
That's exactly.
And I want to get,
and that's how I
don't want to work with Ralph as a result.
That was my rocket fuel in my business, was running. And it's, you know, a little bit of a lucky bounce, like full disclosure. I mean, I think to make it, you have to find there's some, you know, Tony Robbins calls it some element of grace, right? Something helped, you know, that was more powerful than me. And just, you know, the hard work of hosting open house on the weekends, I think that differentiated my business model versus 80% of the agents in the market, where they said, well, no, I want my weekends. And, you know, having weekends are great. I've got 3 little kids at home. Like, I love weekends. But I also don't see the logic in saying, well, I want my weekends off. Well, what do you do all week? Well, I cold call until I speak to 40 people a day, and then I door knock for 2.5 hours. I said, that's what you want to do during the week? I go, I'd rather just do the regular stuff during the week, and then 2 hours at an open house, meet the actual people that they want to talk to me. They came in with the expectation that they're going to speak to a realtor. They were not like making pancakes and the doorbell rang. That's not a ready conversation, you know? So I always loved that idea. And it was all about just connecting and understanding the market. The other huge advantage as well, now you say you can't hear or you can't ask questions, but you can still hear objections at an open house. So I treat open houses like a focus group. Coca-Cola sits behind a mirror while people try their drink and they're like, how is it? It's too sweet. And they're making notes. Oh, it's too sweet. Oh, we should make it brighter or clearer or something. And that's what we do at open house. We internalize and package what the feedback is so that when we come back.
4 people come in and say they don't like this one thing about the property. We have to either change that thing about the property or reduce the price to compensate for that thing about the property, because that's what the buyers are saying is why the property is not selling.
And when they're speaking openly at an open house, it's actually real feedback. As opposed to a private showing, when we send our automatic feedback request, no one responds to it unless you reach out directly, and then they go, oh, which one was it again? Like, you know, they don't really give you, like, let me ask my client. They never do.
Yeah.
Because they're not
searching. I'm like, that's your feedback? They're still searching?
Yeah.
That's not feedback.
When I get a client or when a showing feedback from another agent on a listing I showed, man, I'm as brutally honest as I can be, because I know that's that agent's opportunity and tool to go back to their seller and say, listen, I know the last 6 people haven't responded, but this buyer's saying it's dark or it's overpriced or whatever it is, right? And without that feedback, we're doing a disservice to each other as an industry and to all of our clients, right? Because we're too lazy to fill out the form that says, why didn't your client buy this house? Right? And that's what I want to know as a listing agent, because I need to know, can I fix it? Or do we have to reduce the price to fix it? Right? Those are your 2 options. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I love what I do each and every day. I truly, truly love it. If I didn't have to work, I would still work.
Yeah.
Right. And my goal, my vision, what I'm trying to create is not the best Ralph business that I can, Ralph Ciancio business. Really what I want is to have longevity in our industry. That's why, you know, connecting with obviously growth-minded people like yourselves, the entire RRI community, I think we're here because we want to have a future in the industry. And together, if we elevate our level of professionalism, if we change the game to be better, listen, Uber in a snap changed commuting, and Airbnb in a snap changed house. If you would have told me 5 years ago that some random guy was going to pick up McDonald's for me at 11 o'clock at night and drive it to my home, are you crazy? Like, that would be a ludicrous idea. And I think in our industry, we think we're protected. Oh, that'll never happen. Oh, I think it's coming.
Yep.
And unless we as a group elevate the industry through proper presentation and great advice, through showing feedback for one another, through a mutual respect for our clients and what they're going through. I think without that, we're dead.
Tom and I have had this debate on here a few times about, okay, what is the Uber for our industry? Because I firmly believe that it is far from anything that has been figured out yet. Do you have any ideas on what you think the big change or disruptor might be?
We've already seen the baby steps, right? So sometimes if you watch these lumberjacks, they want to cut down a tree. The first thing they do is they put in a little wedge. All they got to do is just cut a little notch to put a wedge, and then they knock down this, 2-foot wide tree.
You don't see it coming at the beginning.
It's a wedge. And to me, the wedges are websites or apps like House Sigma, Zolo, that was Provincial, or was Korea? Korea had, deregulated or removed the protection on the information. And I think now that the data is a little bit more transparent, personally, I think it's great. I think the transparency is great. I think the algorithms that these, tech companies are using is not great. And I think it creates a lot of murkiness. People think they know, and it's better to not know than to think you know and be wrong.
I like the way you said that, yeah. Because everybody thinks that the algorithms are going to be the thing that take over, and I'm so like, no, the algorithms can't fix all the issues that Ralph Ciancio can fix in that transaction.
You don't know the house smells, right? You didn't know that the basement was not finished.
Wait a minute, guys. We need a house smell algorithm.
That's a good index, a stink index.
They're going to put a smelling device inside our Alexas from now on, right? And, we can get that data somehow.
Tom, your toast is burning.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I had always said is, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this, but if I look at real disruptors, I think it's teams. I think it's teams. I think it's mega teams. Because when I think disruptor, I think who's taking market share. Now, there's a lot of disruptors that haven't taken market share yet, and maybe that one day they do snap, and we're all wrong, and whatever it is, what it is. Yeah. Talking about teams, so you run a team.
I do.
You run a team for how long now?
So I'd say more officially about 10 years.
About 10 years.
First 5 years I was working solo and just kind of grew out of necessity.
So when I started growing my team, which was kind of by mistake, to be honest with you, this was never the master plan. It kind of built out and kind of organically. And I was like, well, what do I call it? And like, well, my name's Tom Storey. I guess it's the Story Team. Like there was really no thought. Yeah. It was like, I guess this is what it is, right? Now, we had gone through different times where people said, oh no, the team can't be your name because it can't just be you. You have to go with like a brand. It's got to be a brand. Now, you had a brand and you've now switched back to your name. Yeah. So can you walk me through the mindset behind that?
I'll tell you the kind of the inception of it all, or, the start was, I'm Ralph Ciancio and I'm an agent with ReMax, and, I serve York region. And from there, I didn't want to make my name the website because my name is a little bit tricky. Ralph Ciancio is a little bit tricky to spell phonetically. And I thought, what's my website going to be? And I thought, well, what could somebody spell phonetically quite easily? And helping you move, I was like, that's people when at the dinner table, I don't believe they say, well, I'm going to list my home. I think we should enter the MLS system. I'm moving. Yeah. That's what they tell their neighbors. Hey, we're moving. So that's what you see. I don't want to talk about what I see. I want to see it from the client's eyes. So helping you move. .ca was the website. And then from there, it kind of branched off again without a vision or a plan. It was, helping you move team kind of became the core, and then helping you move team powered by Ralph Ciancio, but it became a mouthful. Yeah. And, for about 10 years we were growing. It's just the brand itself got a bit diluted. We didn't have like necessarily a gatekeeper, a brand guide, something concrete that kept us within some parameters. And if you're running a business and you've got a brand or you're developing a brand, and a brand doesn't have to be necessarily a name or a logo or a font. We are our
Experience.
Brand. Yeah, we are the brand. And if that deviates and becomes inconsistent, you don't have a brand. The key to a brand is consistency.
I've heard it's like your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's your true brand, right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Steve's in trouble. Enter the comments below. What do you really think of Steve? Tell us the truth. We won't read it.
Please don't.
Oh, you know what? Real quick, as we are like 50 minutes in, if you are enjoying this podcast on the audio side, if you could give us a rating, a 5-star on Apple Podcasts, that would be great. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could hit like and subscribe to this channel, we would very much appreciate
52 minutes in, and he finally remembered to ask.
I always say to Steve, I'll say it at the beginning, and then I forget every time.
No, but here's the thing. That's actually smart that you do it at the end, because the people that are listening for 3 minutes, You don't want them to give you a review. You want the people that are here.
we found that out already.
Right now, the people that are on an elliptical or you're doing a rock, just keep going. You guys are doing great. 51 minutes in. You guys just whatever you're doing
enjoying
right
your
now.
drive right now.
Yeah. But you know, the podcast is great because, you know, you're getting to listen to, you know, brilliant people who do this every single day. And I what I love about, you know, what you guys have created is that it is in a sense neutral. You are looking from the consumer's perspective.
Yeah.
You are seeing it from the lens of a realtor, but you are also just great, honest people. It's not like you have a hidden agenda of something that you're trying to, you know, guide people into. No, you're just being transparent. It's like,
I think that's what makes it so much fun, and how the feedback so far, you know, knock on wood, has been very positive. So, I want to tell you, so you've switched now from Helping You Move to Ralph Ciancio Homes.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm still one of your past clients and I don't know you've rebranded and I go to that website, does that now forward
yeah, it
you
still
to
goes over. Yeah.
And have you had a moving company reach out wanting to buy that domain
No,
yet?
not yet. Well, actually, that was part of the reason why we stepped away from Helping You Move, was that there was a little bit unclear of to what we were. So Helping You Move, I believe, is an excellent name for a website, but not an excellent name for a team, you know, an entity, just because we actually, a big part of, you know, the visibility of our business. We have a 16-foot cube van. Our staging team uses it. Our labor team uses it to bring, you know, garbage out of clients' homes or put stuff in storage for them. So, you know, we love the functionality of the van, but there was some lack of clarity, you know, and you know, they say if you confuse, you lose, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So
What else we got there, Tommy?
Well, I just would like to know, so you've been doing this successfully for a long time. I know that there is a good portion of our listeners that are real estate agents or people that are real estate investors that are newer into it, right? Like there's a whole bunch of people that are new to this. Now, you've seen market shifts. You've obviously survived through them. Advice to give to investors on the consumer side.
Yeah.
That bought a house in February and are sweating a little bit right now because they're watching the news every night. Yeah. And then my next question is, and I asked this to Rich as well, on the I'm a new realtor side, I survived last year. It seemed okay. I've never written a condition. And now, wait, why isn't this home selling? So you've seen this play out. So on the investor side first, what would be the mindset for you if you bought in February?
So I'll say that in both lenses, I can imagine the anxiety that both listeners are going through. An investor right now watching the value of their investment come down, I can see the anxiety that creates, the sleepless nights. You know, in Spanish we say lo siento, like I feel it, I understand. Keep in mind that the value of your investment only is assessed on the day that you sell it. So if your home goes down in value, if your investment goes down in value, just keep living in it. That's all you need to really do. And I think if you hold out any cycle, if you wait for 5 years, you'll find a great time to sell.
Yeah.
The market is cyclical. It's really easy to think that this only happens once in a while. You know, the hurricane season is coming up in, you know, maybe another month or two. And I'm interested in this massive, you know, thing that changes the landscape of everything we built. And Mother Nature just comes in and says, whoop, no, we're not. But I'm amazed every single time how surprised people are that it happens. I'm like, bro, every year it happens in your neighborhood. I see it year after year. Don't be surprised. So it is cyclical. And the same with the ups and downs in the market. I would say this is a great time if you are in the investor mindset. This is a great time to partner up, diversify your risk a little bit by partnering. Doesn't matter what you buy. You're buying something, you know, in a, you know, lower price point than it was, and it will go up in value.
And rents are very good right now.
Rents are the things that people are not talking about. You know, they just announced 2.5% rental rate increase, but that was based on last year's inflationary numbers. Mark my words.
Next year.
Wait till next year when, and that's going to be
If they
the
say 5% next year, there's gonna be a riot.
Absolutely right, and that's 5%. And if they say the truth, which is probably 8 or 8.5%, it's game over. But I think that so from an investor's perspective, just be patient, find a way to make it through. Sometimes people think, well, shoot, I'm losing money every month, I'm gonna dump it. And I think, is it better to lose $200 a month or to sell at a loss of $20,000?
And then that money goes into your bank account and sits there and you lose money on inflation in your bank account. Yeah.
That's exactly.
I always ask clients, like, what are you going to do with the money?
Yeah.
Why are you selling? Like, where's it going? Because if you're going to sit in the bank out for a year, unless you really want that, and that's your decision, like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing to consider as well is that in investments is that we see in huge numbers of people coming into Canada and they're going to need a place to live.
Yep.
500,000 people over the next 3 or 4 months is going to cause upward pressure on pricing, right?
Now, what about the agent side? How do you survive this?
So you have to keep going. I believe that's also another hidden challenge in the market that doesn't make the news. Our broker of record reported to us in February that there are more people in the education system to become a licensed agent. There are more students than there were agents.
Crazy.
So there were something like 80,000 people getting their license.
Oh my goodness.
So when we see that
quickly, do you want to give Deb and Ken a shout out? Because Sydney did.
Yeah. Shout out. That was actually Barbara Brindle.
Oh, Brindle. Okay,
Barbara Brindle had
Yeah,
told
yeah.
us she actually sits.
She's the broker record now. Okay.
Well, yeah, I call her broker
Yeah,
record
yeah.
just to simplify.
Yeah.
But she's a managing partner.
Yeah, I know Barbara.
At ReMax Hallmark. Yeah, she's awesome. The whole team at Hallmark, ReMax Hallmark, are amazing. Really great
This
culture.
episode is also brought to you by ReMax Hallmark, just like the Sydney episode.
That's it. That's it. Hey, listen, the home of top producers.
Yeah,
but
I want to get the invite to the golf tournament again. So
let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it. So I think that when we look at a marketplace where, maybe 12 months from now, the stat that we're going to be talking about is the fact that 30% of the transactions taking place, it's that agent's first time doing a deal. When I play poker, I'm not a really good poker player, but I know that if I play the hand wrong, I screw up the whole table, right? Or blackjack, rather. If you're playing blackjack at a casino. If I play wrong, someone yells at me. Like if I hit on a 17 or something, like, no, stupid, you're supposed to stay. I don't know if that's even true what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah, I
Comment
get it.
down below if you think Steve should have hit at 17. But my point is, if you have people who are not acclimatized to the game, it's going to cause a lot of volatile pricing.
Yeah.
Just like we saw with the stock market with this Robinhood phenomenon.
Yeah.
Where, these meme stocks are just going crazy up and crazy down because you have an amateur at the wheel, right? Your professional investment advisor at Royal Bank was not buying AMC and GameStop.
Are you telling me GameStop's not a good investment?
I think it's a great investment now. Probably.
he's in Dogecoin, so he's good.
Right? So either way, so I would say that to a realtor getting through it, just use this time to learn from the titans in the market. Find a way to find your own niche. What value can you bring to the market?
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to. If you say, well, I have a license, well, guess what? There's probably
Great.
150,000 agents in Canada. Not that unique, but
Yeah.
what makes you unique?
And I think the market that we're heading into, where it's not going to be easy, and we talked about the reputation of the industry and lifting each other up, this is the perfect time.
Yeah.
When everything's selling, it's hard to sit someone down and be like, hey, you didn't do that correctly, or maybe you should try this next time. But now we actually have an opportunity to not just work in the market, but work on our businesses, right? And I think this is a great opportunity. Yeah. Final thoughts, Stephen?
I don't know, man. I'm so impressed with you, Ralph. I'm really glad you were able to sit down with us here.
Thank you.
I think you explain things better than most agents do. You've actually explained a few things to me in the past, which maybe we can have you back on and go through again. Which was, one of which I'm thinking of is you explained to me at one point the cost of a condition, or what did that condition cost you in either an up or down market, and something like that might be a good segue into having you back on again one day.
I mean, full credit to Ralph, but it usually takes 3 times to explain things to Steve.
Yeah,
I know.
100%. But I
can draw it out for you if you like.
I
You
love
like
the way-
picture books are better.
Yeah.
All right, quit trash talking me here. I really love the way you break things down.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, this has been a blast. I'm really grateful to you. I'm grateful
man.
to all the listeners. I think that you're part of something special here. I applaud you, but I also encourage you. Keep going.
Oh, we will.
Because I see the future of this, and it's going to be through the roof.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Ralph. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on.
So, just so you know,
Yeah.
Tom thought it would be funny that he has a signature sign off. What he wasn't realizing is that we're going to be doing this episode in front of a lot of people that he respects a lot. So now I make him do this in front of everyone. He did it in front of Richard Robbins.
in front of Rich. So
yesterday,
okay, look at that camera. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Ralph.
Ciao.
That was awesome. Thanks, man.